Baseball fans, I'm Josh Zaklis here with Ryan Sharp, and spring training has just started. We're going to give you a little bit of a preview here to the 2017 season. We're going to go division by division.
That's right, Josh. 2017 looks to be an exciting season, so let's just jump right into it.
Absolutely. So let's start with the best division in baseball. The AL East contains both of our favorite teams, your Baltimore Orioles and my New York Yankees. Last year, the Boston Red Sox came out on top with a record of 93-69, and I know as a Yankees fan, I don't want to see that again.
Yeah, I understand you wouldn't want to see that again, but it looks like it's very, very possible this year. I think the Orioles and the Blue Jays can give them some competition, but I think ultimately the Red Sox, with their bolstered pitching staff and young offense, will be able to come out on top again in the AL East. The Yankees might be in competition for a wild card spot, though. That'll be interesting to see how well their young team holds up in the later months of the season.
Absolutely. And it seems like the only team that nobody's talking about to win the AL East or make the playoffs is the Tampa Bay Rays, but they have surprised some people in the past, so make sure to keep an eye on them.
I'll definitely keep an eye on them, but I expect to see them in the bottom of the division. All right, let's move on to the AL Central.
The AL Central, home of the reigning American League pennant winners, the Cleveland Indians, who just had a one-game better record than the Red Sox last year, finishing 94-67, and the only team from the Central to make the playoffs.
I think that's going to be the case again this year. Again, Detroit might have a shot at a wild card spot, but I definitely think Cleveland's on top of the division. They just signed power hitter Edwin Encarnacion, and I definitely expect him to contribute to the offense this year.
Absolutely. You could look for a little bit of a challenge. Remember the Royals, who finished third in the Central last year, 81-81, did win the World Series over the Mets a few years ago, so they could be looking for a bounce-back year. The Tigers, you can never count them out. And the Twins, even though they lost 103 games last year, you have to think that they're going to be improving this year.
Definitely, but I think the team to look out for most in the AL Central is the Chicago White Sox. They just signed most of the Washington Nationals farm system in a trade this season. They traded away Adam Eaton.
Absolutely. Well, let's continue our journey west and talk about the AL West. The Texas Rangers won that division last year with a record of 95-67. And it looks like a pretty competitive division in the top half, with the Rangers, Mariners, and Astros all looking to finish in the top half of the division again.
I agree with that. I think that's probably how it's going to play out this year, with the Rangers on top. I don't expect them to make it in the playoffs. I think it'll be like every other year where they maybe win a round, maybe don't, but I don't think the World Series is going to be in Arlington anytime soon.
You think the Rangers World Series drought will continue?
At least for another few years. Definitely in 2017.
And one team that I definitely want to keep an eye out for is the Seattle Mariners. The Mariners, they've been bolstering their lineup for the past few years, adding Robinson Cano. They have Felix Hernandez. They have a big pitcher's ballpark. Definitely keep an eye out for the Mariners. Maybe they can make a play in for the division title or maybe even a wild card spot. But let's switch leagues here. Let's move to the NL. Let's talk about the NL East now.
This is definitely another competitive division. I'd say second to the American League East. You look at the Nationals; they're definitely in win now mode, trading away a good amount of prospects to the Chicago White Sox. Expect Bryce Harper and their pitching staff to do well. I think they can win the division again this year, but the Mets will give them competition.
Absolutely. And speaking of Bryce Harper, he had some issues with what the Nationals were doing in the offseason, to say the least. He wanted them to make some signings. They didn't make those signings, and he seems to be okay heading into spring training. But if the Nationals falter early, maybe you are going to be hearing from Bryce Harper again about how the Nationals should have listened to him.
Maybe he's a potential trade target for some other teams, but I just don't see the Nationals getting rid of him. He might be a locker room distraction, but he's good enough that they need him on their roster.
Oh, no, I'm saying that he's going to complain to the Nationals.
I could see that happening, too.
Yeah, I could see. I'm sure it's already happened behind the scenes. And, again, if they struggle coming out of the gate, it might happen again. But the Atlanta Braves, they finished last in the NL East last year. And they really bolstered their roster this year. They have a lot of young talent coming up. They signed Bartolo Colon, They signed some other They signed some other good pitchers, and they're looking to actually make a run at the playoffs this year, maybe.
Yeah, I think they can. I'm not guaranteeing they'll get in, but I think they can definitely be in contention. It's also their first year in their new ballpark, so maybe that'll turn things around, or at least help.
Give them a little bit of extra motivation there. New stuff, new park, maybe a new attitude for the Atlanta Braves. So looking towards the NL Central, the home of the defending World Series champion Chicago Cubs, still feels weird to say. I'm not sure if they're going to repeat their 103-win season, but I think it's fair to expect that they're going to have another good season.
Oh, yes, absolutely. They'll definitely be good. Like you said, I don't know if they'll get 103 wins again. This year, I do expect the Cardinals to be a little better and give them a bit more of a run for the division, if not win the division. Regardless, it's not going to be won by 17.5 games.
Absolutely. And one thing to keep in mind is the Royals last year, we saw them, they won the World Series. Last year they finished 81-81. It seems like they were a little bit tired from playing an extended season. The Cubs, they won the World Series, but they won it in 7 games. They might be coming into the season a little bit tired. Again, they haven't really had a long playoff run in a really long time. So I guess we'll have to see how the players have handled themselves. Looking towards the bottom half of the division, beyond the Cardinals and Pirates, who, again, Pirates finished below 500 this past year. Maybe they're on the downswing. The Brewers and Reds, nobody really sees them contending in the near future.
I don't expect much out of either of those teams, especially the Pirates with their best player, Andrew McCutchen, getting up there in age.
Absolutely. And finally, just taking a quick look at the NL West. The Los Angeles Dodgers won that last year. Any thoughts on who's going to win this year, Ryan?
That's really tough to say. It's always very tight early in the year, and then one team tends to pull away mid-season, and then by the end of the year, it's pretty close again. I can't honestly pick one right now. I would need to look a little more at rosters and stats and that good stuff. But it'll definitely be competitive.
And I think just giving it the eye test, because again, you got to look at how people perform in spring training, who gets injured, who doesn't get injured, what the rosters look like on opening day. But just giving the NL West the eye test, the only team that you can really say is out of it are the San Diego Padres. The Padres don't have any talent. Going up from there, the Diamondbacks have talent. Maybe not enough talent to win a World Series, but certainly enough to make a playoff run. The Rockies have some young talent. They have some great hitting. The San Francisco Giants certainly have talent, and they have experience in the playoffs. And the Dodgers, again, the defending division champs, you can't count them out.
Oh, yeah. The NL West is definitely going to be an interesting division this year. Like you said, I think the Rockies and Diamondbacks can make playoff runs, but not enough to get all the way in.
Absolutely. I think the Rockies will certainly give a bunch of teams a run for their money this year. Diamondbacks, again, they had some high expectations last year. Let's see if those expectations come to fruition this year. But it looks like we're almost out of time there, Ryan.
Yep, all right. So let's just move into one quick thing here. Who's your way too early pick to win the World Series this year, Josh?
Oof, way too early pick to win the World Series. Wow. I can't pick the Red Sox. I can't pick the Mets. I don't want to pick the Cubs, so I'm gonna have to go with the Indians, to be completely honest.
Really, you think they can come back and win it like the Royals did 2 years ago?
I think they can. I think they have the talent, and I think a lot of people are counting them out, and I think they're wrong for counting them out.
I can see where you're coming from. I'm going to go with the St. Louis Cardinals, though. I think they can get a wild card spot and have some luck in the playoffs, and with their roster, I think that can push them to a World Series title. I think this is the kind of year a team you really don't expect to win early on is going to win. That's just a personal belief, but I would like to see that happen. All right, and that's all the time we have for today. So, from Ryan Sharp
and Josh Zaklis,
thanks for listening, and we'll see you later.